Gladiator II is actually better than Gladiator I.
And now we get to open the Pokemon cards.
No, dude. We got to do the actual review first, and then we can do the cards, so stick around. So we had a couple of questions going into this movie. 1, how is this movie necessary? And 2, how could it be better than the original? And the answer is, it just was. Acting, the pacing, the music was just all elevated in this movie. I have real fond memories of the first Gladiator movie, watching it with my dad. It was one of the first R-rated movies that I saw, that I can remember as a kid. And so the first one is really important to me. The fact that this one came out, I just kind of felt like it was unnecessary and a cash grab, but I've never been more glad to be wrong.
And I just watched Gladiator 1 earlier this week, and I was actually very surprised by how well it is, because normally I can't watch movies that are older than 2006, and I know that's a weird date, but trust me, but this movie, I had no idea it was older than that. The first one had a satisfying ending, so I wondered too why a second one was necessary. But then I realized after seeing it, it was so obvious that the first one laid the groundwork for a sequel this whole time.
And without giving anything away, there were a lot of old cast members who ended up showing up in this sequel, and I didn't expect a whole lot from that. Connie Nelson comes back as Lucilla, and there are parts where she kind of flashes back to the past, and there was some de-aging, but it was really well done. It was quick and easy to miss.
I didn't even realize there was de-aging built into it, so I had to think about it, but it looked like it was shot 20 years ago.
And the other characters that returned from the original, even if their part was small, it ended up being important. It felt like they had a place in here that was more than just a cameo.
But what about the new cast?
I'm getting there. So we see Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, and Denzel Washington as a majority of the new cast, although the rest of the actors did a really, really good job. Paul Mescal gives a fierce performance in this one as Lucius. He ends up in the Colosseum against his will, but he's ready to take out his anger on anybody who's Roman, specifically General Acacius, who's played by Pedro Pascal. His performance is more emotional and complex compared to Paul's, but is still really, really top-notch. And as you learn through the movie, there's more going on to Rome than meets the eye, and General Acacius is right in the center of it. I can't stress enough how amazing the acting was in this movie from the entire cast. Everybody was just so on point with what they were doing with their character and how their character was acting. Having said that, Denzel Washington is on another tier. His performance is incredible. He pulls you in every scene to what he's doing, even if it's something as small as fixing his clothes. He just chews on everything that he's doing, and he is by far the best performance of the entire movie.
I'm surprised you picked up on that too, because I noticed his robe wanted to fall off a lot, but he just played with it, and he would twitch his arm up, just trying to get his robe back up there. But then he'd act like it was nonchalant, no big deal, and it was just so casual.
I think those were all choices by Denzel, and it was just so captivating to watch.
And now we get to open up the Pokemon cards.
No, there were other points that you wanted to make first. Not yet.
The music was amazing in this one. It's far better than Gladiator 1. Even though I love Hans Zimmer, Harry Gregson Williams was an amazing composer for this movie. The music just fit it way better because Hans Zimmer's version sounds too much like Pirates of the Caribbean to me, and I can't unhear it. I associated the politics in this movie with Game of Thrones, and that's a compliment because I think Game of Thrones set the standard for politics. Every single character had their piece to play in this one. And side note, my favorite part of this movie is I finally got a number for how many people are in the freaking Roman army.
It really bothered him.
In Gladiator 1 and in 2, they kept saying we have these 5,000 extra soldiers that can come and attack Rome. But what did that even mean? We had nothing to compare it to. Does Rome have like 300,000 soldiers, so this is meaningless? No, they had 6,000 plus, so that's comparable. Totally have a chance. Not a lot of you are gonna get this next point, but those who do, trust me, Redwall, ride or die. Redwall, the show, has a lot of similarities to what Gladiator 1 and 2 have. You have a main character who triumphed and did something in the first movie, and then you have a main character in the second one who picks up where the first one left off. It's the perfect storyline for a sequel.
So a lot of people wanted to know, is Russell Crowe in this movie? Yes?
I think so. What you see at the end is just a hand gliding through the wheat, just like you did in Gladiator 1, like Russell Crowe did, and I think that was Russell Crowe's hand.
I didn't see it. It was a really short clip, so the jury might still be out. Let us know what you think down below. And now it's recommendation time. Do you recommend, and should they rush to the theater?
I absolutely recommend this movie, and I do think you should go to the theater, and I do think you should go to a Dolby Atmos theater if you can.
I agree with everything he just said about that. Now let's give it a score out of 10.
Drum roll, please.
10 out of 10.
Because we're just two regular dudes doing regular reviews.
Card montage.
Card montage. Take some, you do it. Are these two different ones?
Yes.
Take a still shot.